Uniswap, SushiSwap, Maker, Curve, all of these do over $100 billion worth of transactions flow per year, a lot more than that actually. But the cool part about this is that not only can they build out their own front ends on top of it, I can actually use them and build out my own applications. So you now have the ability to build on top of other people's code, something that we didn't really have before. NFTs is an obvious use case because like all you're dealing with is a smart contract, so anyone can build a new front end on top of that. Zora is a good example of this. It's a modular NFT marketplace protocol that will survive as long as the underlying blockchain. This is what Zora looks like, but essentially what it allows you to do is like anyone can build out their own application on top of their protocol. This idea of composability now comes into play because we can now string together multiple protocols to build out new interesting front ends on top of these protocols that we didn't have before. You have this idea of open and immutable data because we don't have to worry about that API going down. We don't have to worry about that API changing. We know that that data is going to be there. We can be reliant and go to sleep at night knowing we can build out our front ends on top of this. And we're literally getting to the very end. I'm way over on time. So communities and DAOs. One of the DAOs that I'm very involved with is the one that I created called Developer DAO. We have a few people from Developer DAO in here, I think. Yeah, so the Developer DAO is interesting because we enable a community of people to share ownership of a community that in the past would be going to some like large corporation. So if you spend 10 hours a month contributing to the Amazon Discord server answering questions, guess what? You've just given them free tech support and they've given you nothing in return. If you join a DAO, you are, for the most part, given some type of ownership or you're given the opportunity to earn some type of ownership. And if you build that community up and you build out the things that they're building, create value, and you decide to exit at some point, that stake that you have can be sold on the liquid market. So then you can actually get some of your investment back. But Developer DAO in particular is building out a lot of open source. We've done free events. We actually fly people all over the world to attend events. Like next week, we're flying out about a dozen people or so to go to ETH Dubai. And that money is coming from different protocols that are essentially like giving us that money to sponsor the people that are going. So that's really cool. So a few different DAOs are Developer DAO, the Graph Advocates, MakerDAO, Seed Club, and Super Team. So to wrap this up, what does Web3 mean for open source? Well, to me, it just kind of means more. It means more funding, more collaboration, more opportunities, more free and open code. And again, I don't think that Web3 is a replacement for anything that we had before. Instead, I see it as an enhancement. If you've been a developer for the last 5 years and you are making a lot of money, doing great stuff, and you don't want to learn this stuff, that's great. But if you do learn this, you're still going to make all of the money you made before, but you're going to have more opportunities to make more money. You're going to have more ideas in your head that you can actually build out. I believe the future of finance is going to be built on smart contracts. And so if you want to kind of get ahead of the curve, then definitely check it out. So that's it. Thank you for coming to my talk.
Thank you so much, Nida, for that beautiful presentation. So we're back, and we're about to take over. Who is dancing? Nobody's dancing. Nobody's dancing. Don't worry now, no jollof rice for all of you. So does anybody have any question for Nida?
Just one
We can
question.
take one question.
Yep. Oh, there's someone.
Okay, there's someone over there.
Question? Yeah, is that cool? Yeah. Oh, they're going to give you a mic.
Okay, I don't know much about Web3, but I know about the encryption used in some of those protocols. But my worry, I love privacy. But my worry is that hackers are now using it for money laundering, which makes the bad guys, which makes the government to put eye on it and want to regulate everything. So what's your take on that? What side do you stand on it?
I mean, money like people have been using fiat currency like dollars for money laundering ever since the first day that they were introduced. I don't think you can ever get away from people taking advantage of technologies or things that exist in bad ways, but I think you can build in and implement new processes and new, in Web3 we might call it like curation, and ways to kind of like prevent that. So like as we progress, as we continue to improve all the things that we have, we'll build out systems that kind of try to prevent that. But I think that by nature, when you have something that is permissionless, then you're going to have good and bad actors.
But you can't put them out.
I
Because
mean,
you
in the
can't know
same
the
way I
nature of the
can't
person
stop
that-
someone from like money laundering today, we can't stop them in the future as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, like banks, if you look at the banks that we see in the world today, they launder tens of hundreds of billions of dollars of money themselves
Sure.
already. So it's not really anything new. I think that we just are giving a new platform for people to do stuff, and they're doing good and bad things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nida. So, we're about to introduce the next speaker. Is anybody excited?
Yes.
Please, I need to feel this excitement. Oh, we are going on strike. This speaker is not coming out. Is everybody excited? If you're excited, please can you raise your hand? I love it. I love it. Okay. So, this next person, please start clapping as I'm talking. So, his name, I'm not going to say his name yet, but he's a software engineer who has worked on biometric health and developer tools. Please be clapping now. Have you worked on biometric health and developer tools before? He's a seasoned developer advocate, community leader, and a firm open source hacker who believes immensely in the intersection of people and technology. He co-founded Eden Life. Yes!
It's the reason why
And Loop, the largest African developer community currently in approximately 8 countries. And he's also a staff developer advocate at SourceGraph. Everybody, please join me to welcome Prosper Otemuyiwa.
I mean, you can stand if you want to.
Hi, everybody. How you guys feeling? Are you excited? Yeah, so I had a different plan when I came here, right? When I spoke in 2020, which is already 2 years ago, I can't believe it's 2 years ago, I wore an agbada, all right? And that was because the AC here was nice, everywhere was chilled. But right now, everywhere is hot. So I'm just going to dress like this. I hope that's fine. If that's not okay, I can change into like short knicker. Is that acceptable? All right. Okay, so technical problems in a technical talk. What's happening? All right. Okay, so my name is Prosper Otemuyiwa. Some of you know me as Prosper. Some of you know me as Unico developer. Some of you know me as Fire, whatever. I'm also a developer. I'm a developer advocate at SourceGraph. And I want to brag a little, okay? So these are other sides of me. I'm an open source contributor. I co-founded 4Loop Africa. How many people know 4Loop here? Everybody, okay, nice. I also co-founded Eden Life. Who is a customer of Eden Life here? Jesus Christ. Wait. If you're a subscriber of Eden Life here, let me see your hands up. If your company uses Eden, let me see. Wow. We have work to do. All right, I'm also an angel investor in more than 20 companies so far. All right. So, last year I talked about, 2 years ago, my topic was tiny changes. How many people remember? Remarkable results. And I had feedback that it was really good. So now we are taking it to the next level. All right? Today I'm talking about the golden ticket. What's the golden ticket? Becoming a superstar an impactful open source contributor. So we've had so many talks today talk about like how to contribute to open source, the different things you need to do, how it helps you. Here, you're going to learn how to become a superstar. Now, there are different reasons people contribute to open source, right? One, they really just want to learn. They really want to learn. They want to really up their game in their knowledge of programming, design, right? Some people contribute to open source because they want to make money, which is debatable, right? Because if you want to make money, you should go and work for companies, right? You should be paid to write code. Don't become an open source contributor. But we'll talk about how you can make money later, right? Or some people decide to contribute to open source because they want to be popular. And that's not bad, that's okay. Don't let anybody deceive you, right? Some of the things they tell us, at least several years ago, is that if you want to become a developer or you want to work in the tech space, you need to be passionate about solving problems. That's a lie. You don't have to be passionate about anything. Yeah. You can decide to come for the money and stay for the money. That's fine. Yeah. You can decide to come for the passion and stay for the passion. That's okay too. Right? And you can decide to build software for free. That's fine. All of us work together to still become a community. Is that right? Cool. So let's go on. Right? So building, shipping, and scaling great software is hard. However, building great and impactful software in the public and for free is incredibly harder. And we'll explain in a very, very soon. Right now, we need more impactful open source contributors today. Why? Right? We are currently at a breaking point where the sustainability of open source is at stake. Right? Right now, we have so many companies, like all the companies that you can think of, like Netlify, Netflix, all of these companies are heavily dependent on open source package, right? And when you look at the last 2 years, right now, even in the world, it has been crazy, am I right? The pandemic started when? In 2020, right? After that, what happened? We started having like series of problems. Now we have almost a world war looming somewhere in a part of the world, right? So it has not been easy for everybody. Even when you look at your co-workers at work, people are just tired by default. When you wake up and it's time for stand-up, before stand-up by 9 a.m., you're already tired. Sometimes the only thing that gives you joy is your food from Eden Life, when they tell you it has arrived. So a lot of people are really going through it, right? So right now, we are at that point, that breaking point, where we need all of you in this room and outside of this room to contribute to the existing software that has been developed, right? Because right now, open source maintainers are burned out. Many of them need help. And what you see these days, not just these days, this has been happening from time past. Somebody is using an open source project. You are building a software for profit, right? Maybe you're building a startup. Maybe you're building Brass. Maybe you're building Eden. And I'm sure it's dependent on open source packages, right? And you need something fixed. There is a bug. Or there is something you really need to be in a particular version of the software. And then you complain, you raise an issue, right? Hi, guys, blah, 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 blah. You put it there, you put a documentary, boom, paste it. And then you're waiting for the maintainer to solve it. And the maintainer is dealing with real-life problems, right? The maintainer is probably not here. The maintainer is probably in Ukraine or something. And you just don't want to know. You just really want, your problem solved. And we have a lot of people like that. If you have ever maintained an open source project before, I do, and I get all sorts of funny messages. I get emails, right? Some people see my name in the package, Unicode developer, and then go and Google me, and then see my handle, and tweet at me, hi, I raised an issue. And I'm just like, how? From GitHub to Twitter. And then I get emails too, some people email me in the night. I've had emails from even people that are not developers. You know how business people delve into development a bit. They have an idea, right? Maybe they've gone to hire a developer, they cannot pay well. The developer has just messed them up a bit, I will show you. And just do half work, right? And then they're trying to figure out, it's PHP, I've done PHP before, I can find my way around, or JavaScript. And then they see the name, Unicode developer. They go and search. They see a name, Prosper Otemuyiwa. They now see my email. They now go ahead and email me, hi, we were working on a project. And then we use this particular package, and all of a sudden it's not working. Please, can we get a call so that we can fix it? On your own time. I get that a lot. So People are burned out. I'm burned out. A lot of people are burned out. How can we help? So this is a question. Feel free to tweet about it if you want to. What if you were handed a golden ticket that could magically start your tech life afresh? I mean, these days we have tech bros, we have taxis. I came in here and I was seeing the quality of cars outside, and I was happy. 4 years ago, it was not like that, right? We were just walking here. We didn't have this, right? And when I look at like people that have been in the tech world for a while, say 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, I ask them the same question, like, what would you do differently if you were to start your tech life? Like knowing what you know now, knowing what is available, knowing the tools that are available, and the kind of things that you can do to make money or to make impact. What would you do if you were to restart your tech life right now? I think you can ask yourself that question for the next 5 seconds. Knowing what you know about open source now, knowing what you know about Web3, knowing what you know about Bitcoin. If you were to restart your life as a developer, as a programmer, what are you going to do differently? I'm sure you're thinking about a lot right now. This is what I will do. And I'll show you how. So there are 4 ways or 4 techniques that you can leverage in becoming a superstar and impactful open source contributor. And we're going to talk about it right now. Number 1, finding and fixing security vulnerabilities, boosting code health, be faster at code onboarding, and code reuse. And we're going to talk about everything in essence. So, for many people that want to make impact, right, some people maybe see people in the community that they look up to. Maybe they see how popular they've become, or they see how valuable they are. You want to be like them, which is great, right? But many of those people did not just become popular, out of the box, right? Many of them were doing the work over time, right? And then after some time, they've had so many things they've done that people can point to, people can look at, and then people look up to them, right? And then they become superstars, right? So what I like to tell people is start with trying to make an impact somewhere, right? And then, of course, being a superstar will automatically follow. Because one of the things that you learn in life is that when you are valuable, right, people will look for you, right? And here we have so many people here that work remotely already. You're here, you're probably working remotely for a company somewhere in Asia or in the US, right? And that's because you're good. You know what you can deliver. So people will seek you out. And in the past 2 years, because of the pandemic and because things have just changed, a lot of developers, a lot of companies are seeking out developers from all angles. They don't care wherever you are. If you're in Lagos, you are based in Ekpe, I don't care. Do you have a laptop? Do you have stable internet? I think you can join the team. Are you good? Let's go. So let's start with code reuse. Number 1, contribute to libraries, contribute to SDKs, and contribute to components. So these are 3 different things, right? If you're very active, you use Node.js, or you work very actively on the back end, many times you're always installing libraries, right? To do many of the things that you want to do. You just pull in one library. You pull in an auth library. You pull in, library that connects to an API, right? And then you have SDKs that you consume just to do whatever you want to do. Or if you're building React, you're working on the front end, React, Vue.js, there's so many components ready-made components, right, that you can use. Say you wanted to build something like Slack. You already have ready-made widgets. You already had ready-made, Slack components that you can pull into your code and just use instead of building from scratch, right? So one of the ways you can make impact is when you're working, when you're doing your work, right, there's so many things that are available currently, and there's still so many things that are not available. And I'll tell you some of those things, right? I built the Laravel Cloudinary SDK, and before I built the Laravel Cloudinary SDK, for some of you that use PHP and Laravel here, which is what I deal with primarily, there was a package called Clouder. So I don't know if anybody can remember Clouder, right? For if you use PHP or Laravel, Clouder used to be exactly, right? That used to be the popular package that people use, right? I used to use that package. And then all of a sudden, for a very long time, that package never got updated, right? And I had the opportunity to work with the Cloudinary team. I was writing articles for them, teaching people how to use Cloudinary, answering people on Twitter, answering people on Stack Overflow, answering people on Quora. My contract with them was just to help people understand Cloudinary better, right? And that was my contract with them. I did not need to do any other thing. So I looked at that package. I saw that a lot of people were complaining in the issues, right? And I discovered that the maintainer was not really active. So even when people tried to support, they were not getting help. It was taking a lot of time. I wanted to contribute, but I just couldn't because we had a lot of pending issues. So what I did was, I think it stopped at Laravel 5 or something, I can't remember. And then now we have Laravel 9, right? That's a lot of gap. So what I did was I just created a new package. I talked to the Cloudinary team, I'm like, hey, this is what's happening with your package, and a lot of people are looking for ways to store files and manipulate files. I'm like, I want to go ahead and build a Laravel library. I don't know if people will use it, but I'm just going to try. And I did that. I built a package, a Laravel Cloudinary package. And of course, whenever I build, what I do is I write about it. So I built, I put it on Twitter, I wrote about it. And then, of course, the next best thing, people started using it, right? So people started switching from the Clouder package to the Laravel Cloudinary SDK that I built. And then people just kept on using it, right? And this, okay, you guys can't see it, so sorry about this, right? But if you check the package, just Google Cloudinary Laravel, you see it has a lot of stars, a lot of people have forked the repo, you can see the number of people that are even already using it somewhere, you can see the total number of downloads, over 100K. People started taking the library very seriously. And for me, it just opened up more opportunities, right? I was like, Cloudinary is an API that people can, you can write modules for it in your code, right? But as a developer that is rushing, or you have a product manager on your neck, do you want to spend time writing modules, or do you want to just pull in a module or a package that you can readily use and just move on to the next task on Jira? You want to just pull in a library, right? Or pull in an SDK that is just really, really efficient. So I started looking around, right? One of the things we are blessed with these days is that we have so many startups that are coming up, so many infrastructure startups, right? You have CredPal, you have Sudo Africa, you have Brass. I don't know when Brass is trying to release their own API, right? So I can imagine if Brass Banking, for example, or Kuda is trying to release an API very soon. I don't know if they've released it yet. They come up with an API, right? Oh, we've released a developer API for people to use. By default, many of those platforms do not have libraries or SDKs at all. It's just APIs where any developer that wants to use them have to integrate them manually, right? One of the things that you can do is just to go ahead and create a library or an SDK for that project. That's a simple hack. So right here, right now, bring out your phone and start looking for startups or companies that have APIs that do not have libraries in the language that you use. If it's PHP or Python or Ruby or any of the languages you use, if they don't have a library for it or they don't have a library for the whether you use Rails or Laravel, go ahead and create one, right? Because I promise you, when you go ahead and create one, there are some people that are just waiting not to write that code themselves, right? Because one thing about code is that the more you write, the more you suffer. Because as you write new code, you introduce new bugs. Am I lying? Very correct, right? So would you rather defer that to somebody else to deal with and just import it than you manage it yourself, right? So one of the ways that you can make impact easily is as simple as that. You don't even have to overthink it. You don't have to think, oh, what open source project am I going to create? Look for companies or products that have APIs that developers can use and just create SDKs for them. There are so many now, right? I was looking at Union 55 documentation the other day. Union 55 is one of the startups that raised money recently from Zambia. I think Zambia or Zimbabwe. And many of the startups we have in Lagos use them for their card issuing APIs. So if you have any startup that has given you the ability to create virtual cards, there is a high probability that they're using Union 54 behind the scene. So if you go and check the Union 54 API, they just have this raw API there, right? They don't even have libraries or community packages. That's your opportunity to shine, right? They don't have it yet. So you can go ahead and create it. And when you create it, you can decide to submit it to them or just tweet about it. If people find it useful, people will start using it. Right? And this is the one I've talked about so much, right? I talked about it in my last talk, and I will never stop talking about it because right now it's still funny to me that the package I created in 2016, Laravel Paystack, I have not updated it in a long time. I've not touched the code in a long time. People are still using it. I don't even know how useful this thing is. It's been 6 years now, right? Backstory for some of you that don't know, in 2016 when Paystack started, Paystack had this amazing API. All of us know Paystack here, right? And that was when I started contributing to open source as well, in 2015. And what I did was, I discovered that, oh, this Paystack API is really nice. I was doing something with Paystack, and there was no library. They didn't even have a PHP library at the time. right? Before they wrote theirs, there was no PHP library, there was no Laravel library. So what I went ahead to create a library for Paystack called Laravel Paystack, and I wrote about it and I just put it out there, right? And as God will have it, a lot of people started using it, right? A lot of people started using it. I had to start like updating. I got like amazing PRs from people, and then this package is been 6 years. Again, if you look at, okay, you guys can see it, but maybe you can check it out on your own time. I've not updated this package in a long time, but this package is still so useful. In fact, all of the emails, most of the emails I've gotten from people just asking for help in open source was because they encountered this package, even people that are not developers, right? So people just get a project, slap this package on top of it, and boom, users are ready to pay. They don't have to integrate the API. So that alone has helped them not to try to integrate it themselves. This package just does the job. And then, because of this, like, I mean, when I'm talking about all the open source works I've done or submitting, I just add this package as part of it because, like, a lot of people currently use it. So that's one of the things you could do, right? So number 2, finding and fixing security vulnerabilities. That's that's one part of tech or one part of programming that is often overlooked, right? People always talk about building. Nobody talks about testing. Nobody talks about like pen testing or scanning for vulnerabilities. And I don't know how many security people we have in the house. One of the things I've also noticed around here is we rarely have like security developers. There's a probability that if I talk to one random person here, the person is a front-end developer. There's a probability. Am I lying? I'm sure Eddie Dion was asking questions now, and people are like, oh, how many people have you met? 5 front-end developer. Why? Where are the back-end developers? Are they in the house? You can even count them. I don't want to start any debate about front-end and back-end because we know where the infrastructure is. But let's move on. So for finding and fixing security vulnerabilities, that's one of the ways you could approach it for impact, right? One of the things you could do, there are available tools on the internet that you can just search for, right? What those tools do is basically just scan code. You can scan a backend API, you can scan an entire code, you can scan for a lot of things. And these are some of the things you can take note, like how are they consuming images here? Like how are they consuming the API from the front end? Like is there any cost, or middle human attack? Some of these tools are available. You can actually just get those tools and start scanning available projects to see if you have any security vulnerabilities, right? In fact, many of the popular open source projects, Laravel, Python, Rails, they will tell you that if you find any security vulnerability, please email us with the report, right? So that's one of the places you can easily make an impact without even touching code. Find a way to be able to scan many of the open source projects people use or the products people use to see if there are any security vulnerabilities and fix it. And I'll give you examples, right? The ones that are very popular. The most recent one that we all heard of was Log4j. How many heard of the Log4j issue? Exactly, right? There was a compromised version of the Log4j, and it was somebody that found it out. Somebody found it out, right? And it was affecting a lot of servers. Because this is an Apache Log4j, that's always like on the servers and on the backend, right? And they proposed a fix for it. So they had to bump the version to a newer version. In fact, when they bumped it to a newer version, there was another security vulnerability in the newer version. So everybody, like when they wrote about it, people updated their servers and stuff. And then the next day, somebody said, Omo, we have not gone anywhere. What you just created is a bug for the bug. So we need to update it and bump it up to a new version. And they did that. I think they did that like twice before they had a version that was really good, right? Now, you have created a fix. Now, how do you replace this fix in every place that uses Apache Log4j? That's another trouble. Because you now had like servers that were using like old versions. So you needed to find a way to be able to scan, like what's the fastest way to be able to replace this thing? So for people that could write scripts to replace them, many people came up with like different scripts. Like even at SourceGraph came up with his own script and like his own way of using. Cynic, a security company, came up with their own, right? So one of the ways you could contribute as somebody that is trying to make an impact is when you get hold of vulnerability like this, it's easier for you to write a script or come up with a recommended way of like doing it across projects. Because when you do that and write about it, people will know. People will actually follow your blog or your article because this is the documented way of fixing this, right? And then once people start to do that, people start to look at you as some level of expert. Even though you're not an expert yet, you've just helped, right? People start to look at you as an expert somehow. Like, this guy helped me fix this. So maybe there's something else that this person knows. People start looking at you and asking for help. And then that's how you start to make impact continuously, right? So this is one of the ways. We have so many others. WordPress Heartbleed. I don't know. WordPress Heartbleed is a long time bug. I just put that as an example. All right, so another way you can do is to boost code health. When we talk about code health, what are we talking about? This is one of the things a lot of people still don't talk about. So, in summary, when you talk about the health of a code base, it's simple, right? It simply means how long can we sustain this project in a way that the tech debt will not be high. We know about tech debt, right? So as you continue to build projects, open source, even just within your company, at some point you get to a level of a high tech debt. And that's why different companies, even Google, like people rewrite their code almost like every 2 years, every 3 years, they rewrite the entire infrastructure because you are getting to a point where your debt level is like very high, right? So one of the ways you can make impact is you can look for existing open source projects, right? And say, okay, what can I contribute to this project that will increase the health of this code base, right? So these are some of the examples of what you can do. There's a package I love so much in the JavaScript ecosystem. It's called bundle size. How many of you use it? It's called bundle size. People use it even on the back end and on the front end. With bundle size, you can specify a particular size. Like, oh, I don't want, when we bundle this project into a minified file, I don't want it to be more than 2 MB. Or I don't want it to be more than 1.5 MB, right? So as you keep developing, it runs every time you run your project and gives you the size. Like, oh, this is the existing size of the project, right? So you can easily know, okay, this is inching towards 2 MB, this is far away from 2 MB, right? So these are some of the examples you can do. You can set up this for an open source project, right? You can set up linters. You can set up tools that facilitate great code standards. There are so many types of linters. There are prettier packages, and there are so many open source tools that are just looking for something like this. We're just contributing to this project. There are so many things. People are focused on the code. So you can come in and focus on the structure of the code, right? Oh, okay, for us to be able to continue maintaining this project for the longest time, we need it to follow this standard, we need it to follow this standard, we need it to follow this standard. And then that's where you can come in. You can set up all these linters, you can set up all of these things, and this allows the health of the project to increase, right? And then you can reduce the tech debt. Even if that is what you do, that's the only thing that you do on the team, you have created an impact, right? Because people now know you as the go-to guy for maintaining the health of that project. Okay. All right, so I'm rounding up now, just 2 more. Faster developer onboarding. What do I mean by this? So for faster developer onboarding, most times when you get onboarded on very big open source projects, sometimes you don't know where to start from. In fact, a lot of the times you don't know where to start from. It's so complex. It's so big. There are so many issues. There are so many existing pull requests. And you're like, where do I start from? Right? It's this is not for me. Let me just focus on the job that they pay me to do. But you don't have to think that way, right? Because where you can start from the README, you can start from the documentation. One of the things I like about React, right, is that React, they keep reinventing their documentation all the time, right? It's simpler, it's more, it's simpler, it's well expanded with so many examples. And they do this every single time. They're always really working on documentation. Same thing too with Vue.js, right? So you can look for an existing open source project that you use or one that is popular, look at the documentation and tell yourself, how do I make this documentation better for people like me, right? So you are coming in as a first-time contributor. You know the challenges that you faced when you plan to, when you clone the project. So what you are telling yourself basically is, if I clone this project and I see that it is this difficult to actually start contributing, then you can write down some points and say, okay, this is where I started from, this is how I got it, this is the way I went about it. And then you talk with an existing maintenance of the project and okay, what's a better way to start from? Some people are just looking for an entry point. So if you can get that entry point, you can document it, you have contributed, you have made a very big impact. And then for every single time a new maintainer is added to the project or people want to contribute to the project, they have very nice entry points, right? At SourceGraph, there's a tool called Notebook that we use internally and some customers, right? With Notebook, you can just put in code examples inside, you can put in code examples inside a book, right? And when it's time for somebody to get onboarded for the project, the person will just start from that entry point and just keep going. So there's runnable code inside, there's documentation, there's code structure, all of those things are available so that somebody can understand how to contribute to the project easily. So you can easily do that. So we've talked about 4 ways to leverage, right? And when you start making an impact, there are so many mind-blowing opportunities that you can have just because you are contributing to open source, right? And I'll just mention a few. So when you start contributing heavily and you start making impacts, of course, like I said initially, when you start making impacts, people want to know who you are, People want to invite you to speak at conferences. People want to actually give you paid contracts, right? There are open source projects that they pay them just to focus on it. For Laravel, for example, you have at least like 5 developers that work on Laravel full-time, where the founders actually pay them salaries to work on Laravel. And there's so many other open source projects like that. There are open source projects that get grants and funding, right? So when somebody sees your impact in a project or in a group of projects, the next good thing is to reach out to you. Like, hey, we need help on this project. Would you be chanced or would you be free, to be able to help us do this thing, right? Or you can get emails, right, to just come for conferences, right? So if you're somebody that admire or want to start traveling for conferences, I'm sure Nada can talk more about that. Like, he has been on the road for, after here, you're going to Dubai, right? I wish I was following you. Right? I wish So, like, these are just some of the opportunities. Like, you get a lot of speaking engagements, and next thing, for someone like you that are just here, not traveling, next thing you're traveling to speak at different events, and that opens up your eye to, like, different opportunities. Then apart from that, too, right, there was something I did recently. I was applying for something. They called it, like, the UK Global Talent. And one of the things I did was to list my open source contributions. That was what I did. I just took a PDF. I listed everywhere I've spoken at before. I listed all the open source projects I've contributed to. I listed all the open source projects that I have created. And I kid you not, in less than 1 week, they gave me a recommendation. And that was it. I didn't have to do much, right? And that's because I have work that I can show, that people can Google and see and say, okay, this guy's name is all over all these projects. This guy must have been doing something right? I mean, it's good to do impactful work within your company. That's great. But you and the people that work together are the ones that see that. But for open source, everybody sees that. People that don't know you from Jack, they can see what you are doing. They can see your name. They can see what you write about. They can see what you contribute to, right? And that can lead to endless opportunities. There are so many opportunities I can talk about here, but I don't have time. I think my time is almost up. I think I have, 30 seconds left. Yeah, so if you want to know more about it, you can reach out to me, and I'll tell you, right? There are so many opportunities. So many. I became a GitHub star because of this, right? I was the first GitHub star in Africa. In fact, when we were starting the GitHub star program, we were 3 people that they contacted globally to start the program. Guess who was one of them? Me, right? Because of my open source contributions. So there are just so many that you can talk about, right? But again, after this program, feel free to bombard me and ask questions, right? And I'll tell you more about all of these things. So if you are very interested in open source contributions and want to learn more, there's a Slack community that you can join. This is the Slack community. You can check out this link, copy it, or you can just scan this QR code. In fact, this QR code was for this reason, because I know some of you will not be able to see that, right? So you can scan this QR code, take a picture, scan it, and feel free to join this community. When you join this community, you have a lot of people like you and also people that have been contributing to open source for a long time that can guide you on how to make very impactful contributions. Have you taken it? Okay. Please take a picture. Feel free to join. Because the idea is for you to become like an impactful open source contributor. Yeah, so it's a QR code. So once you can always join the community. Or you can just copy this link and join from there. Okay. So acknowledgement. I want to shout out to Vanessa Ortiz. She works at SourceGraph, where she helped me with ideas for this talk and also helped me proofread it. If you're watching on the live stream, Vanessa, thank you for helping me, because we were on a call last night and just going back and forth because I had so many things written down and I didn't want to waste you guys' time because my time is limited. So she helped me with proofreading and helping me with ideas for this talk. So thank you very much, guys. If you want to become an impactful contributor, feel free to follow me on Twitter, Unicode, GitHub, Unicode, send me an email, and let's talk more about how to make impact. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Prosper. That was really wonderful. Please, let's put our hands together again for Prosper. Also, if you got the link, share it to your neighbor. Don't hold it. Be open.
Be open. Okay, so I guess we'll just go right into introducing our next speakers. So I will be calling up Ada Nduka Oyom and Samson God. Is that how you clap? Please do more.
They're the reason why we're all gathered here.
Women in tech, you're not clapping for
this.
your leader. And
Come on,
Samson
guys.
Godi to give the OSCA keynote speech.
Hi, everyone. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ada Nduka Oyum, also known as Kolokodes, and this is Samson Godi, our co-founder at Open Source Community Africa, and we are And we're going to be speaking about open source, re-evangelizing the open source gospel. Basically giving you a rundown of how things have been since the last Open Source Community Africa Festival. So, meet me. Don't mind all of this grammar here, but I'll try to break it down very briefly. I mentioned earlier that I'm the co-founder of OSCA. I am also the founder of Shikoda Africa. I know there are so many SCA queens here. Period. And what we do at Shikoda Africa is to help a lot of African young girls and women in tech come together and build your careers, giving you a platform. And then also, I am the founder of DevRel Light. I am heavily focused on developer relations, aside advocating for gender equality. So I started DevRel Light to help anybody who's trying to get into DevRel. Then at Google, many of you might have seen me at the stand, at Google stand. I'm also a community manager at Google. I'm helping manage the GDG community. Are there GDG organizers here? Or GDG participants? Good. I help manage the GDG communities and the Women Tech Maker community as well. And lastly, you find me doing crazy stuff on TikTok as a content creator, and also I'm a technical writer.
Okay, so I'm not a community manager at Google, but I'm a community manager at Twitter Spaces. So, my name is Samson Godi. Some of you probably know me talking a lot about SAPA, do all of this. But yeah, so I do a lot of open source stuff, being the co-founder for the Open Source Community Africa, which is the organization behind the Open Source Festival. If some of you don't know, I know you're here for maybe Prosper's talk and other things, including jollof rice. It's fine. But yes, I'm the co-founder for the Open Source Community Africa. I do a lot of things around open source, and I think if I want to list out things that I do, it probably might not be going today. But just like I said, you can follow me on Twitter at Samson_Godi, and then you can go next. Yeah.
Okay, so why OSCA? I know for many of you, this might be the very first event. If this is your first time attending an OSCA event, please raise your hand. Amazing, that's awesome. So I'm going to give you a brief rundown of why Samson and I decided to start OSCA. Over a couple of years, that Samson and I had known each other, I think before pre-2016, we would have conversations, and Samson would keep giving me all these stories about how he's doing this with open source, he's doing that with open source. And note, I have been building communities right from uni. So I wanted to see a way for us to bring these opportunities. Trust me, these opportunities were mind-blowing. But I noticed that there weren't so many people who were conversant about open source, or even there wasn't an active community, because I had to do a lot of Googling around it. So I decided to bring my knowledge of community building and Samson's knowledge of open source to start what we know today as Open Source Community Africa, aka OSCA. So this is a breakdown of what OSCA as a community is all about. Especially for first-timers, this is an amazing way for you to get to really embrace the OSCA culture. We're two things. We're one part community, and then we're one part project. Some of you might come from the community aspect. Some of you might come from the project aspect as contributors. Now, for community, our goal is to create as many chapters as possible to help spread the gospel. Remember, the topic was the topic was around spreading the OSS gospel. So we're trying to create as many chapters across Africa in a way that the open source spirit isn't just felt in Lagos alone, but in as many African countries as possible. And then we have the festival, which is our headline annual event. Hopefully COVID doesn't interrupt again, but our headline annual event. And then for the project part, we have two, which is advocacy and contributors. So Prosper has given a lot of ginger about contributing to open source. The OSCA, GitHub, the OSCA GitHub organization page is a good way to start your journey as contributors. And then we want to create as many advocates as possible. I know from today's event, a lot of you are already out there speaking and evangelizing about open source. The idea isn't just for you to come here and learn from all of the amazing speakers, but we also want to see that spirit being reignited in contributions across different global projects. So now here's the journey so far from 2020, the last festival, till now.
So in 2020, I and Ada were on the same stage, talking about a bunch of things, and all of you were so excited, and then what happened? COVID. To be honest, that was the first time in a while that I stayed in one location for more than 6 months. It was terrible, but then COVID happened. So obviously, this was the last photo, I believe, somewhere around this location here, Zone Tech Park, where we did the first ever open source festival. And we're so excited, and we're like, okay, you know what? We should probably do something in late 2020, and guess what? Our village people decided to visit us. And then there was COVID. Next. So, but one of the interesting things about the Open Source Festival, and why I think, in my opinion, that's one of the best things that would happen to your career and also to me, is that the power of what we're trying to push. And the first thing is network. I'm sure some of you here might have seen Nada, Prosper, Ada. Maybe not me, because I like dragging people on Twitter sometimes. But, but yeah, I'm sure that's one of the goals that we're here, so that you can network, supercharge your career, so you can become an excellent developers advocate. I'll be in Lagos today, and tomorrow in Dubai, and next tomorrow in Poland. And of course, try as much as you can to travel as much as you can. But yeah, but anyways, network is something, one of the things that the open source community Africa we're really, really excited about, and that's why we're happy that everybody's here. And the goal is to make sure that you make as much network as possible. And then in terms of sustainability, I think Chris and also Nada, maybe Prosper, and some of the, and I think most of the speakers here have been talking about funding. And of course, on Twitter, and also like using our community Discord, there's a lot of questions about why is it so hard for people to host events in Africa? Why is it so hard for people to host events in Lagos and to be able to get money into the continent? So that's something that I'm going to be talking later in the talk. But then the goal is to make sure that when we bring in people today, obviously from co-founders to CEOs to developers advocate that has large budgets working from different companies, of course, go and drag Ada later for more sponsorship from Google. But the point is you have the ability to come, explain yourself, what you're trying to achieve, and be able to build more sustainability model. And of course, as time goes on, we at OSCA, we're trying to look for ways that we can help create a seamless experience that can better look for ways to sustain open source in general. And of course, career. My question is, how many of you here are paid technologists? Not programmers, not designers. You're in tech and you're being paid. Raise up your hand. Raise up your hand. So I'm saying, let me repeat again. You're working in tech, or you're in tech, and you're being paid to work in tech. Raise up your hand. Oh my choco. Now, the reason why I asked this question is because that was one of the highlights of the Open Source Festival in 2020. And I'm sure Ada and some of the community members have been able to hear. When the festival happened in 2020, I remember asking this question in the same hall. And obviously, during COVID, a lot of companies decided to do remote jobs. There was more requests for developers advocacy. There was more requests for engineers. And guess what? A lot of people started getting jobs. Now, this is an opportunity for you to be here, listening to talks, going to talk to the sponsors. Of course, as Prosper says, build more APIs, build more things that are surrounded and more people really care about. And of course, with open source, there's a great network of people and a great network of individuals that enable you to build your career. When I started learning how to code, I've never, ever worked in an office before. Like, I don't know what it looks like to work in the four corner of an office. So working remotely has always been part of my culture, and that's one of the things that I saw greatly when I don't want to say positivity of COVID, but that was one of the things that we saw when COVID happened, and which Ada is going to be explaining more.
Okay, so after 2020, our first ever headline event, we had so many things in plan because the idea was to build that momentum. You know how everyone is so gingered right now, oh, OSCA first, open source, I'm going to go contribute, but then COVID was like, psych, no you. So we had to re-strategize on a lot of things, and how did we do that? The first thing we did was to understand that there wasn't going to be any opportunity of physical events very soon. So we had to channel all our energy towards virtual events. A big shout out to our community managers, Edith Young and Bolaji. Please, let's give them a round of applause. So the next thing we also did was try as much as possible to partner with brother developer communities like She Code Africa, Facebook Developer Circles, and some other minor communities in different localities. And then last thing we did was try as much as possible to amplify social media events. Now, there's a reason why we focused heavily on social media activities. A majority of us here identify as millennials and Gen Zs. Yes or no? Yes. Yes or yes? Exactly. And we know that one easiest way to reach a lot of people, especially during the lockdown period, was via social media. Info spreads faster, communication spreads faster as well. So we tried as much as possible to amplify our social media activities. And in a space of 2 years, here's some of the impact that we were able to create. It's not much, but we like to see it as a success story. So first, for our chapters and communities, also a very huge shout out to all of the OSCA chapter leads in here. Please, another round of applause if you're one of them. So from 2020, after OSCA Fest, we grew our community to 1K community members. We had our chapter presence in about 5 countries and approximately 15 chapter leads. Now, from 2020, 2021 into 2022, we've grown to 2.4K community members, and I'm hoping everyone who is here is already a community member, but if you're not, there will be a link to sign up on our Discord channel pretty soon. And then we've spread to over 9 countries, Nigeria, Ghana, Mauritius, Cameroon, I can't remember the remaining, but over 9 countries with 60 chapter leads, which is a huge thing, meaning that every country, every locality where a chapter lead is present, the gospel of open source is being evangelized there, and that's a huge thing to us.
And then for programs, the reason why I think I'm really excited about this side of the slide is because when I met some of you, you were talking about, oh, how do I contribute to open source? What do I do? How do I make money? You know, I'm sure Anjana talked about outreachy. There's programs like Google Summer of Code. There's a lot of things out there. And one of the things that happened in 2020 during COVID, I believe between 2020 and early 2021. Wait, can you all hear me? Yes. Are you hungry? Yes. Why? Don't worry, there's jollof rice. Don't worry, there's jollof rice. Don't worry. Calm down, there's jollof rice. Okay, let me repeat myself again. So yeah, as I was saying, there's a lot of outreach programs that enable you, structure you, and put you in positions for you to be able to not just contribute to open source, but be able to grow your network and be able to test your skills. And that's one of the interesting things that Open Source Community Africa is trying to drive. So yeah, we did something called the Open Source Challenge by OSCA in 2020, or 2021, I believe. Sorry, my memory is crazy right now. But the thing is, we did collaborate with one existing organization, and we're like, wait, we can be able to do this. And because of COVID, we're not able to host physical events. So we decided to use social media to draw people in. And at the end of the day, there was a lot of people that contributed to the project. They reached out. They even used that as an opportunity to get jobs, which kind of reference to the last slide I was talking about.
So for partnerships and collaborations, I know this sounds like they're reading their annual reports for us, but the idea is to make sure that every single person understands the reason why we're having OSCA Fest. It's not just to bring people together for 3 days, and then you marry, you meet your mentors, you meet your friends, and then you go back home. We are really, really keen, we're really, really committed to building that open source culture and that open source community within Africa. So some of the collaborations and partnerships we did, first is with She Code Africa. even as much as we're trying to build the open source ecosystem, we're trying to get more Africans into open source, we also want to create more diversity. Like I mentioned earlier on, I'm very keen about gender diversity and advocacy. So we brought together Shikode Africa and open source to create what we call OSCA, Women of OSCA. And so far, we've been able to reach about 100 ladies from our program. And then another partnership is with the Facebook Developer Circle, where, just like Samson mentioned, we have the OSS Immersion Program.
And then for the Open Source Festival and the Sustain Africa, which I think some of you, I'm sorry for people that have been dragging me on Twitter, it was not my intention. The goal is to expand from next year. But anyways, the Open Source Festival, like I explained, is the opportunity for you to come, network, discuss, collaborate, listen to talks, sometimes good talks or sometimes boring talks, depending on what you're looking at. And of course, get to follow those people that you've been trying to send DMs, or meet those cliques, or join a new clique, depending on which side of the coin you're in. And of course, one of the interesting things about the festival, or what we're trying to do, is the other section, which is the Sustain Africa. And just like what I said, we're looking forward to ways that we're not just bringing people here, but also listening to the conversation on social media, in conversations, at events, at conferences, and of course, individual conversations that we're having, so that we can understand the ways that we can improve the ecosystem and look for ways to sustain it.
So moving forward, plan for 2022, and like I mentioned earlier, hopefully COVID or some random virus doesn't interrupt anything. We plan to continue collaborations with some existing communities like Shikode Africa to keep running the Women of Open Source Community Africa program.
Now, that's really excited, to be honest. But in terms of roadmap, and I'm sure that this is one of the things that would answer most of your questions, not just coming here, but also maybe if you're going to Discord, you can have an idea of what we're thinking about. Now, before the festival, our focus was to focus on educating people about what open source looks like, educating people about what the open source community looks like, and of course, maybe some random things like programming, advocacy, and even technical writing, including how to improve yourself as a designer. Like, we have a really great network of people, and we have a really diverse teams in terms of skill sets. Now, one of the things that we're trying to push, and I'm sure with GitHub, the Hacktoverse report, I believe in the last 3 to 4 years, you've been seeing a lot of really, really, really great projects coming out of Africa. But we want to do more. We want to be there. We want to be, of course, Africa is over 1.something billion people, and one of the interesting things about that population is that in countries like Nigeria, we're over 70% with under the age of 30. So that means we have more energy to do a lot of things, but we need to also think about how are the ways that we can push things out there so that people, companies that depend on, like basically people will be depending on Africa, and that's one of the ways you can do it. And one of the things we're trying to do is to push projects by creating more initiative coming forward. So those are the things that we're going to be announcing going forward. And of course, in terms of community and chapters, if you go to oscar.com, OSCA, the OSCAfrica.org/community, you're going to learn more about what these things looks like. But the goal here is, we know that there's a lot of communities out there, and we're not trying to create something different. We want to integrate with any existing thing you're thinking about. If you have ideas, if it's something that is related to open source, you come together. And the way we're trying to do that is to obviously support the existing communities, but also create city chapter programs that enable you to reach OSCA within your own city without having to travel to Lagos. And of course, I know that for people that traveled into Lagos, it was a lot more expensive. And that's why I'm really, really excited. I'm really grateful that many of you, despite the situation of the situation of the country, people decided to fly in, which is really, really good. And of course, with partnership, just like what Adam mentioned, we've been collaborating with Shikode Africa. We've been collaborating with the existing organization, but we're looking for more organizations to partner with. So if you're an organization here, companies, projects, or even as small as you think you are, or whatever you classify yourself to be, we're really open, and we want to receive more partnerships. So please, you can reach out to either myself or Ada later on, or you can go to our community Discord to ask questions. And now, one of the interesting about this partnership, I know 2020, I referenced a little bit about it, but this year, we're going to emphasize more. How many of you here know ASCID made in Nigeria created list on GitHub? How many of you? Wow. How many of you here know GitHub? What do you use GitHub for? Huh? Now, wow. anyways, the point here is The Open Source Community Africa and the Open Collective have been in partnership for more than 2 years. And one of the things that we're looking forward to improve is that, yes, while you're in the Western world, in the US or whatever continent you're in, you have the ability to work in open source full time. I've been privileged enough to do that, and I'm sure some of the speakers here have been in that position. But we have a lot of people here. Obviously, the question I asked earlier, getting jobs and all that. But we're looking forward to the way that if you're building an open source project that people maintain, we want to be able to work with you so that you can be able to raise more money, so you can afford that MacBook Pro or what's the new M1 chip again? The M1 Ultra, I believe. You understand? Or obviously, you can use it and buy more jollof rice if you wish to. But then the goal here is, if you're building an open source project and you don't have anywhere or any place that or you don't have any questions, or you have questions and you want to sustain that project, you go to the Open Source Community Africa Discord, ask questions, and we can look for ways that we can support you and, of course, get to house your project. Anyways, thank you. Thank you. My name remains Samson Godi. Please, thank you very much.
So just before we exit the stage, we're going to call our design lead at OSCA to come share a couple of things. Please put your hands together for the amazing Perry.
I brought my Bible to my... Today, the OSCA team is feeling very good. And I know we like a lot of giveaways. So we're about to give a lot of goodies out to a lot of people. But you know why I'm here? You know why I'm here? You know why I'm here? The world has not known that there is a conference like this going on in Lagos, Nigeria. We're about to tell them again today. So you know what to do. Your tag first. This time, I'm going to give out these swags to the top 5 people that have the highest number of tweets in the next 10 minutes. Amachi, are you ready? The social media manager is ready. So can we bring out our tags? You're hungry, right? After this now, when the world have known that, oh, there's something going on in Lagos, Nigeria, then we can go and eat jollof rice. Very, very nice one. So let's bring out our tags, please. Your tags. It's like this, our hunger is strong. Oh. Can we bring out our tags? Can we raise it up? I can't see your tags. I cannot see your tags. Should I sing for you? Okay, let's pick out our tags. Let's scan the barcode. The persons with the highest number of tweets in the next 10 minutes, we have the opportunity of taking these swags home. What? No, this is the first one. We have different activities. I'm ready for you today. Have we scanned it? Have we scanned it? Have we scanned it? I know you're hungry. Don't worry, there is food. Enough food. Enough food for you and your household. But have we scanned the code? Have we scanned it? So let's drop that tweet. Amarachi is counting. Amarachi is already counting. So she's going to keep real-time data of what is going to happen here in the next 10 minutes. Have we scanned it? Okay. I think we need to stand up a bit. Sorry, but we need to tell people what we are doing here. I can see some of you doing this. Sorry, we are really sorry about this. I mean, our experience is supposed to be top-notch, but Zone Tech Park, I will drag you from today to next year. They messed it up for us. We are very sorry. Can we stand up, please? I know you're hungry. There's food, there's food, there's food. Okay, while we wait for those that their bodies are probably using Glow Network, please, can we all stand up? I know you guys did this game earlier where you did a meet and greet, right? Can you remember the faces that you met earlier in the morning? Can you go to them and take a selfie with them? You can't do that. Okay, look at your neighbor. Say, neighbor. Neighbor. Take a selfie with your neighbor and tell Twitter who is your neighbor in the hall today. My neighbor is my photographer. Take a selfie and make a tweet. That's the second tweet. Are we doing that? Are we doing that? We're actually trending already, but I want us to go to the top 10. We want to be at the top 10 today. Have we done that? You have a neighbor behind you. You have beautiful neighbors in front of you. Take their Twitter handles, tweet at them. Don't forget to use our hashtags. Don't forget to use our hashtags. This is the only way we can find the winners. Do not forget to use our hashtags. Okay, the third tweet. Tweet number 3. Tweet about something just a word that describes your experience here, other than hot. At the Open Source Festival. A random word that describes your experience here, other than hot, at the Open Source Festival. Use our hashtags, please. Have we done that? We can sit down. We can sit. Should I sit? Let's sit. Let's sit. Let's sit. Let's sit. Let's sit.
Yo. Please sit down. Please sit down. Perry, why did you disturb my people like this?
I'm just telling them that jollof rice is coming. The rice is coming for them and their household. They just need to.
They're already tweeting it. Who has tweeted like 3 times here? Today, you retweeted 3 times. 5 times. 7. 10. 20. 30. I will count it all. 30. 30. 30. If you have tweeted 30 times, come and meet. It's my swag I'll give to you. My own. Wait, not now, not now. No, calm down. Calm down. Meet me later. Meet me later. All right, what's the third? Okay. Okay, let me do that. Okay, so there's a video we did in 2020. Who knows the video? There's a video we did in 2020, and it was like a selfie video. Awesome. Who remembers that? Anybody remember? Yes? Any other person? Who was here 2020? 2020? Okay, some of them don't. Where they go? They don't japa? Okay. All right, so we're going to do that video now. It's just in 6 seconds. And what I want to do, if it's 1, 2, ready, go, you're just going to scream what? You were there in 2020. Give him swag.
Prosper, I say every time.
Give him swag.
Prosper is our sugar daddy. Prosper needs to go and buy the swags and do giveaway. He's our host.
All right, so we're just going to do that now. And I'm going to say 1, 2, ready, go. Wait, let us practice. Let us practice. 1, 2, ready, go. You want to tell them that we did not feed you on time. Why? Is it fair? They said the food is coming. They said it's coming. Say now, OSCA first. I will not post it too. All right, let's try again. 1, 2, ready, go. Please, just do it like again like that. Want to take the video now? After I don't beg you. All right, 1, 2, ready, go. Awesome! Please put your hands together for yourself. Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Perry,
We're supposed to give something.
winners.
Yes. Amarachi, do we have anyone? The first person.
Let me give my own bottle out first. Let me see. Somebody tweeted at me and said something.
Amarachi. While we're waiting for Amarachi to give us our first winner.
Who is Tosin
fastest
Esther?
fingers. I mean, you can beat the winner now.
Tosin Esther.
You still have enough time.
Tosin you're the one. All right. Come and have this. Please put your hands together for her. I've not seen the video. If you have me, I will find you. She said her eyes have been on the swag. So I just say, let me give it to her. All right. Perry, are we ready?
Yes,
we need.
are.
I'm hungry too. All right. I hope we'll be having a good time anyways. As Perry said, we deeply apologize for the condition. We're trying to sort of simulate, being in the north. We're just simulating it. Just because, some of you, we are preparing you to go abroad. Yes? And we need you to experience all those hotness now, once and for all. And say, I'm done once and for all. Fine now. So that's what we want you to just experience. So, Perry, can you see all of them? By next year, I want to prophesy.
Prophesy.
By next year, how many people are here? Maybe like 800.
Yeah.
By next year, 200 of you, Jackpa.
Say amen! But you know that majority of people that came for 2020, they're not in Dubai.
That's what I'm saying.
Even Germany.
But wait, I just remember something. Stephen is here. Oluchi is here. They work in bumper. Don't jackpa like that, Don't do jackpa.
But they can work remotely now.
They can work remotely.
Yeah, so they can jackpa. We have our winners.
All right, we have our win. Tosin Esther is here. Don't give her again now. I just gave her.
What did you give her?
I just gave her bottle.
We can give her shirt.
She's
telling the world what we are doing here. We appreciate you.
Please put your hands together for her again.
Thank you so much.
The what? Oh, this is
The 50.
Okay, call this something.
Big Aji.
At Big Aji. If you are not big,
Twitter handle.
if you are not big, and you come outside.
Somebody's about to choke us. Is that
not-
Big Aji coming?
Oh, it's the shirt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. No wonder. I was wondering, it must be big. I see what's big now.
Something has to be big.
Something.
Maybe there's something else that is big, oh. We don't.
I'm not there, oh. Sin lag. Posh. Sin lag.
Target.
You must be posh. All right, just like Amaka Rivers. Hey, something's happening there. Something's happening there. They're writing scripts. Is it open source? One question. Is it open source? It's not. That's why you could not use it. Tell them to open source it. Last person, come join folks. Why is your hand? Come join folks. Come outside. You have a query. Hold on. What inspired that handle? You love it like that.
Only
Come
him.
join what? What do you want people to join?
Folks, you're not seeing the invisible ones around him.
Folks.
He's not alone.
Did you come here with anybody?
Village people.
If you come with him, if you came with him, please let me see your hand up. Ah, okay. These are people that join
It's
you.
a community.
Yeah, a community. All
How will you
right.
share this one now for the folks? You and your folks. Thank you.
All right. One more. Random person. I like this bottle. Somebody scream OSCA first. I have not started though. But that guy shouted well. I saw him. Come and take the bottle. He was waiting for it. Oh yeah, wait. Actually, come. Come and shout it again. You're ready, you. Come up. Come up. We're going to do it again now, but now.
Let me help you.
You do 1, 2, they go, and all of us will shout it. No mic. All right. 1, 2, ready, go. Woo! Please put your hands together for him. Put your hands together for him. Well done. I'll call you when we are downstairs. When we need to tell people to come back upstairs. I'll call you. What's the name? Ilore. Tamilore. All right, nice to meet you. All right, thank you very much, Perry.
Thank you.
Please put your hands together for our amazing Perry. All right, right about now, we're just going to have one lightning talk. Where is he? Is he there? One lightning talk. Is Ayo here? I just want to confirm. Okay. He's here. All right, so right now we're just going to have a lightning talk 10 minutes before the jollof rice. Before we go to the breakout sessions, we're going to call on Shodipo Ayomide. Please put your hands together for him. He's talking about building decentralized applications on Polygon and DAOs. Put your hands together again for Shodipo. Wait. Let me tell you one gist. Let me give you one gist. This guy you see here. Why you he's a big man. And I need you to bill him anytime that you see him. Wait. So actually, just on a serious note, yes, if you're one of those people, maybe like Prosper, you would have seen this guy grow to become world class. You know, from being in the attendees to organizing his own. So while he's talking now, yes, I want you to just, listen aptly, but also, just get 1 or 2 inspirations from him. And please, while he's speaking, please, I need to see your tweets. Tell them your handle. Developer Ayo. Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone. How's everything going? How is everything going? Oh yeah, okay. So real quick, yeah. So as I said, as you can see here, there's a small change. Wait. You can't hear me. There's a problem. I'm speaking in Java. Oh yeah, okay. Let's be guys. Okay. Okay, guys. But yeah, there's been a small change. I've been here since the beginning of the conference, and trust me, I've been motivated. I met a freaking 16-year-old guy who is doing crazy stuff in the blockchain space. I was blown away, man. Like, Prosper, I was blown away. This guy is writing Swift, writing everything. Solidity, and it's not by mouth. I saw the GitHub, I saw the contribution. This guy is 16. I was blown away. Then I told myself, I was going to change my talk. I was going to change it to something that I think would help with all of people here, to be honest. I saw somebody who were much younger, and these guys were starting companies, and they had a lot figured out. They were literally trying to raise money. They were telling me to invest. They had safes. They had like lawyers and all that kind of stuff. And these guys are not even 20. They are not 19. And they are doing all of this kind of stuff. It's crazy. So like, just to tell you that, like, you don't have to be 20, right? You don't have to be like 25. You can start right now. Your junior ones can start right now. So there's been a little change, right? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you can clap. So, but I know some people here were anticipating my talk on specifically like building dApps on Polygon and DAOs. So I'm just going to touch a little bit before I get into what I'm changing my talk to real quick. So yeah, I was supposed to talk about this. So just a little bit about this, then I'll go into what I'm changing my talk to. So technically, so walking through that talk real quick. So decentralized application strictly comprised of three things. Number one, user interface. Number two, smart contracts. And number three, a backend. So the first thing, we all know what UI is, and the smart contract, how you interact with the blockchain and the backend. Moving on. So I have less time, so I'm going to move really fast because I want to cover ground. Is that good? Awesome, guys. So why build the apps on Polygon? Number one, infrastructure support. Number two, community support. Number three, VC support. Number four, contract security audits. That kind of stuff. Any questions here? Good, right? Is that good? Go on. Next one. As I said, I got inspired. I got very inspired by what I was seeing and by the people I spoke to. I spoke to people who were building crazy shit. Permit me that language. I met people building crazy stuff, right? And I got a lot of questions about, okay, how do I scale this? What's the go-to-market plan? How do I take this to market? How do I get this to the people? I got questions like that. So I said I was going to change my talk to this, the Web3 community model for technical projects. Okay, so that's me. So my name is Shoduk Bayomide. I work with Polygon as the global head for developer advocacy. And I kind of do like all of those stuff there. So that's about me, but let's go to the next one. Keep the people excited and hyped. So one thing that like you need to get is when it comes to Web3, you have to build excitement. You have to build the hype. Do we get what I mean here? You have to build excitement. Not like, for example, if you come to, let's say, a Web2 meetup, right? I'm using an instance here, right? People could just come around, do a workshop, that kind of, or let's say Twitter Spaces, right? Go to like Web2 Twitter Spaces where they're talking about, let's say, React or basically Web2 topics, basically just Web2-based topics. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a kind of flow it is. But have anyone attended like a Web3 Twitter Space where they're talking about like blockchain stuff? There's a way it is, literally. There's a kind of excitement. There's just this excitement that's just everywhere when it comes to like Web3 communities. So if you're thinking of building Web3, you have to figure out a way to keep your community constantly excited. What can I do to make it excited? Do giveaways. Do something. Make the community excited. Let's go to the next thing. The community is a serious one, but the vibe has to check out. The vibe, like, there has to be something to keep everyone excited. NFTs are going through the roof, specifically, majorly because of excitement, utility, and stuff. But there is this excitement. You have to keep your community excited. For example, there's this company launching soon. This is no PR or anything. It's called AutoStream. These guys have over 100K people on their Telegram group. How are they doing that? People are anticipating their launch. They are putting out things there, pre-token launch companies. People are excited. They're saying, hey, when this launch, you're going to get this. You're going to get that. Before you launch, people are getting like probably scholarships or something. They are making people excited. Or for example, free NFT giveaway. They are making people excited, that kind of stuff. Let's move on. Let's talk about community education. As usual, as human beings, we castigate stuff we don't understand. If you don't understand something, you're going to shy away a little bit from it. Say, hey, this thing, I'm not going to do this. Because why? I'm a bit scared because I'm not sure how it's going to end up. So one of the major parts you have to do when building your product and you're trying to go to the community is there should be an education plan. How will I educate the community about my product, about my project? How do I educate them about it? I'm going to talk more about this later on. Educating the community is about your product as well as helping the community upskilling their careers is non-negotiable. So you're trying to tell people your product, but the goal strictly is that they're going to get better because you know that you build a tool literally, or you build a library as, I think so, Prosper spoke a lot about libraries and like reusable codes. So I built this library and I believe it's going to help tons of people. So you're not just going to preach about it just for a fact that you want to get popular or you want to get more stars, but that you want to educate the people and make their life far much easier. That should be your drive when you're building communities for Web3. So literally, when you're building like your application, your go-to-market plan, one of them should be education. How do I educate the technical community about what I'm working on? For example, we think about workshops, we think about events, we think about Twitter spaces, stuff like that. And it should be all hyped. It shouldn't be just like guys like just giving talks and like just straightforward faces and stuff. It should be all hyped. Figure out a way you can have like a music session, bring up like a DJ and stuff. For example, if we're familiar with like Ethereum-based events, there's these events that happen like right after like every Ethereum event. It's called an after party. One is happening in Dubai coming up soon. For like we have like DJs coming around and like people partying and stuff. And like I mean like real party, that kind of stuff. So like keeping the people hyped. So for example, for Polygon right now, the idea is we want to educate the community about Web3, and at the same time, we want to really just like get them familiar with what Polygon is doing. So we created Polygon Academy. That's academy.polygon.com. It's going to get you started with what? Web3. But then deploy your applications on Polygon. Here's the best part. We have 8 modules here, and in every module you pass, you write a test. If the test is successful, you get an NFT. That kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff is exciting. It builds excitement. And we've had like thousands of people getting into this. We launched once. The first day was crazy. We got tons of people getting NFTs, and it was exciting. Let's go to the next one. The value of a community goes up when there is an exchange of value. You're giving the people value, and they're going to give you value back by saying, hey, someone is having a problem. They're going to recommend your library. You're going to recommend what you built. Because why? You taught them how to do it. They were confused, and you were there to support them in their confusion. But your idea is like, these people are having a problem. I don't want to market to you. I want to tell you literally how to make your life easier. I don't want to leave you in the ditch. I want to tell you how to make your life easier. It's not, I don't want more stars. I don't want more folks on my project. I literally want to tell you how to make your life easier. And here it is. And it's not a cap. Moving on, keeping the people happy. The people have to be happy, right? If you're building a community here, the people have to be happy. I've heard tons of people here saying, trying to sit down and do conferences and stuff, that kind of thing. It's exciting. You have to figure out a way to keep the people happy. For every tech event, there's always stuff like jollof rice, small chops and stuff. It's to keep the people happy. That's one thing. But like, for example, for Polygon Guild Lagos, we gave out 1,500 USDT to different people. It was crazy. People who tweeted, we reached out and said, hey, we saw your tweet, we loved it, here is $200. Someone else, hey, I think you tweeted a lot, I think just here's our least contribution, get like $300. Some people $50, some people $100. Right? Giving them money, it's not a problem. It's Web3. Make the most. So, moving on. So, make the most active folks around your products feel appreciated and welcomed. This is one thing. This is one thing. And now I'm going to align this specifically with DAOs. So in DAOs, we have something called like contributors to DAO. So these people just come around and say, hey, I want to contribute to the success of this DAO. And let's say, for example, I want just to build a smart contract. So say I have this idea of a DAO. People come around to volunteer their time and their skill, and they're helping to build that DAO. So those guys are contributors to that DAO. So some people can come around and say, hey, this DAO is doing pretty well, but can I contribute to the engineering side of this thing? You don't get paid, but you do something called you feel appreciated. Because why? You do so much and say, hey, you've been doing so much, why don't we just give you the X amount for the work you've been doing for us? That kind of thing. So don't see anybody's service as free work. Like, if I'm trying to, like, build, like, okay, let me give an example. I was working on something, on a project before I joined Polygon. I was trying to, like, so I did a technical test. So I was trying to, like, look at the blockchain space. I was learning something. I had a problem. I couldn't find a solution. I reached out to somebody who helped me. I got the solution solved. And, like, I said, hey, I know you don't need my money, but I want to appreciate you for what you did. Like, we should learn to appreciate people for supporting, for helping, that kind of stuff. So if you're going to try to run a Web3 community, or you're starting a Web3-based company, a DeFi company, once you see people are actively talking about your company, find a way to appreciate them. Chat with them, bring them closer to the company, ask for their feedback, make them feel appreciated. Does that make sense? Awesome. So, if not just about your product, so it's not just about your product, it's also about the well-being of the community members. Again, bring your people closer. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to move again. Tons of pre-token DeFi apps in the works, large communities around them, but no idea how to harness that much power. We have people excited about your app, all of these things happening, but how do I bring all of these people together? You have to find a way to bring everyone together and keep them excited. Keep them excited. There are tons of NFTs coming around, happening all around. People are giving like free NFT giveaway. These things are going to appreciate, believe it or not, man. Not all, but like some of the major projects. So believe in it. Believe in NFTs. Just saying that. So bring people together and like find a way to appreciate them. I think I could help list out a couple of ways you can appreciate people for their support to your project. For example, let's say I'm running a DeFi-based company called Lights, like this is Lights or some sort. So, and like this young man here is really like, it doesn't work for me, but he's just excited about what I'm building. So how do I appreciate him and say, hey man, I've been seeing you've been tweeting a lot about Lights, and thank you for doing that. And I think what we're gonna do is that I'm gonna tell my team to schedule a call with you and just talk to us about what we're building from your perspective and see how we can improve. So it shows that like the company saw that, hey, this guy is actively excited, and we brought him on board to hear his feedback. You feel appreciated that way, don't you? Yeah, because why? Your voice was heard, like you were responded to. People want to be responded to. They want to ask questions and be responded to. So going on, so your community, okay, just come single source of truth. So number one way you're gonna hire folks from your community. So this is what some DAOs do and some companies. For example, for Polygon, so one of my team members went to Denver for ETH Denver. She met this guy who was really solid in blockchain engineering. Like, hey, this guy's doing pretty well. And what happened? He got hired. So he's from Developer DAO, but also contributes like to the blockchain space. He was like, this guy's really active, so he got hired. So you're doing something great. You have like a project, and you need people. First step, look within your community. Don't look for the best people who have the best followers or the like. This guy's trending or something or has tons. Look for the folks who are really active in your community and empower those people. This is how it is. Exclusive invites. For example, exclusive dinner with the founding team to come speak to you. This is one idea. I'm doing something. I have a company. We want to figure out how to scale. I bring together all the most active people around my product, schedule a meeting, put it at Hard Rock Cafe, Cilantro or somewhere, listen to them speak and like implement their feedbacks. What can be implemented? Let's move on. Video, audio calls for feedbacks. You can do this too. Then events. Bring out those people, put them on stage, let them do talks. Like one thing I'm really excited about this OSCA event is because I saw a ton of speakers, and I saw a ton of people who could speak. They don't really get invited all the time, but they spoke on this stage, and that was pretty exciting. It wasn't about who has the most followers. It wasn't about like who was really popular and stuff. That was really exciting. So, Polygon guilds. So, I'm almost at the end of this talk, so follow me. I know we're hungry. So, Polygon guilds. So, when I joined Polygon, one key thing I was thinking about was how do I bring the community together on a global scale? So, what I thought about was let's have small communities across different cities. So we founded Polygon guilds. Now we have over 50 guilds across the world doing pretty well, which was, I'm sure, so who saw about Polygon Guild Lagos? Did we see it? Oh, no one? Okay, people did. So it was a great event. It went well. After that, like tons of more guilds happened. Small communities where people want to learn about blockchain stuff come around and like see technical talks. Let's move forward. I know you want to like do big things, but I still believe in starting small. No matter how big your idea is, it starts small. I believe that, okay, I want to do this big thing, but again, start small. Because if you like just jump out there, you could crash. You want to do big things, it's still going to start small. But let's move on. Oh yeah, this thing. Talk is cheap. Show us the code. Specifically in the blockchain space, right? One key thing that, so if you're thinking of organizing like a Web3-based event, blockchain-based event, it should not be an event where people come around, or let's say you have a company, you want to organize people together. It should not be like I think specifically, don't get a marketing person to present technical product to developers. Like they could end up hating. So don't do this like this. I know some people might disagree with this, but don't do this specific thing. Don't get the marketing department to speak to developers. Get developers to speak to developers, or get like developer advocates or something. Or if you do this, just kind of hate on products, to be honest. So don't do this specific thing. So lastly, know how to position your startups to the community and developer. I think I've spoken about this before, and I'm not sure I have to go over this. I'm out of time, so I'm kind of rushing. So, oh yeah, that's the last slide. Thank you. Yeah. So. If you have any questions, I'm out of time. If you have any questions, I think I'll be at the back. So about the past talk about deploying DAOs on Polygon. So if you want to have about that, just meet me at the back. I'm going to answer your questions. And so thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Shodipo. So right about now, we're going to the final parts of the event. I hope you've learned a lot today. If you've learned anything, let me see your hands up. All right. So we're going to the breakout sessions now, and within the breakout sessions, we're going to be having our food. Hello. Okay, Karen is going to read something now. There's an opportunity for people that are here, and someone is providing something for free.
So I don't know if you guys have heard about Dabo, yes. So they're a device security protection and insurance company for individuals and businesses across Africa. And they're giving out free insurance to OSCA attendees. So if you want to, insure your laptops, that new Mac, or that new iPhone 13, of course, they're the ones to go to. They're just behind. So when we get back from the breakout sessions, you can speak with any of their reps on their stand. And and yes, so we have
Okay, I heard that two people here, two founders, people that are building their own stuff. My partner here is Karen, and she's the managing director of Catwick and Dale. And they selected a few people that they'll be getting free legal services. I think she's going to announce them now.
I don't know if there's an Afiz Adefemi here.
Afiz Adefemi. Yes, you're going to meet her later. Yeah.
Great. And Amadikwa Joy and...
Amadikwa. Is Amadikwa here? Ama. Dikwa. Kwa. I don't know what you go by. Are you here? I think.
Okay, so we got tons of people that signed up. And, to ensure that everyone sort of gets a little bit of the cake, a little piece of the cake, what we're going to do is we're going to schedule, quick 15 to 20 minutes calls with everyone that dropped their phone number, just get a sense of where you are and just give you a little advice or a little tip and just nudge you in the right direction. But yeah, these two people actually get free legal service from us for a month. Yeah, the month of April, actually.
So quick one. Some people are getting free legal service. Let me tell you something. I live with this woman. And when she wants to show me something, she'll tell me to pay. I'm just telling you that you are gaining something useful. Look at her here, and I'm dragging her because they did not get it. Oh, this is my partner. This is my romantic partner. All right, so we're going to the lightning talks. It's going to be happening in 4 different locations. Okay. All right, so we have different talks that will be ongoing now. Wow, I don't think we can see this. How many people have access to the schedule here? You have it on your phone because we are the tech generation. All right, so you don't need this, yes? All right, so right about now, we're going to be having problem no dey finish. Make it try to enjoy. Okay, that's not it. Problem no dey finish. How to improve your problem-solving skills by Ogodiran Ayobami on the Lagos Hall. This is the Lagos Hall, so if you're up for that talk, just stay where you are. Building the metaverse backbone on the cloud by our lovely Adora Nwodo is happening at the Addis Ababa Hall through this way. Then we have Designing for Kids by Sin Ugudike, happening in the Cape Town Hall. This way also. I'm sure there are going to be signboards to direct you. And then there's an Interledger, Digital Currency to Offline Currency by Uchi Beke, in the Accra Hall. Please, right about now, you can make your way to the different halls of your interest. Don't be tired, though. The food is waiting for you there. The food is waiting. It's waiting. All right. The jollof is waiting for you in the hall. If it's not there, drag Didi, or Perry, or Ada, or Samson, or Shady. Anybody with the organizer tag. All right, so everybody sitting down, you're for the Lagos talk, yes? Yes? Everybody sitting down. So if you're for the Lagos talk, you can remain seated.